Yeah.
That's good.
That's all I'm saying. It's like, you know what? Is this guy really, really ready? Are we really ready to spend an extra $5 million that we got to pay to draft this kid at 18? You know what I'm saying? Now we got some equity in this.
So what happens to the kid? What happens to the kid? What happened to the kid that expected to get drafted and no team was worth to pay that? So what, this kid has to go to G League, college, overseas? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, if you decide, now you're dealing with an agent standpoint because nobody can predict where you're going to go. But if you hire an agent,
it's too late to go to college.
The agent is the one that's gathering that information. And hopefully you hire somebody you can trust to tell you that, you know what, we need to wait a year on this.
I got you.
You need to do all you need to do it's y'all have sat down and understand how these stories go. Yeah. It's not like, all right, I'm getting you do this. No, it's a part of a plan. Here's the plan. Our plan is that you're going to go top 10 in the draft. Or our plan is you're going to be a lottery pick. Or our plan is you're going to go in the latter part of the first round. That's our plan. That's what we're working with. Now, as you go along and teams start scouting you, and you perform in front of teams, and you have workouts, this, that, and the other, and your agent is talking to other teams, seeing where the interest is. If the agent's like, hey, you know what? This interest isn't the same. Now, they do have a rule where once you hire an agent, or they did have a rule, once you hire an agent, you couldn't go back. But that's lax now. So my thing is that once you get the word that the plan's not going as planned,
right?
And if we go back next year and work on some things, this is what I'm hearing to increase your draft choices. Then, yeah, you should go back and do that. But
okay,
or you should have an operator like, you know what? If we don't want to go back to college, let's see if we can get into the G League. Let's see if there's a space overseas where you could probably go for a season. Let's see if we can get you on Ignite. And there's other options to do this now, but it has to all be part of a plan. And if you're not prepared for the plan to not do what you all expected to do, then your foundation is fucked up from there. You can't go into a plan where you don't have control over how the plan's going without being able to make any type of audibles in that plan. So if you come into it like, oh, we thought we were going to lottery pick, and now we're at the bottom of the first round and we're screwed. I hate to say it, that's on y'all. Y'all need to walk into this situation prepared for this to happen, this to happen, this to happen, and what's going to be our pivot in those moments.
To me, now that NIL is here, there shouldn't be a penalty for getting an agent out of college.
I don't think there is.
Let me. Go ahead. Yeah, let me ask you this, because this was the origination of the question. In 2022, do you feel like the numbers are inflated? Stats.
No, because I'm trying to be specific with the word inflated.
Okay.
But no. And listen, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying inflated as if it's they're purposely or they're doing something to make sure the numbers are higher than they should be naturally.
It could be unintentional also, though.
It could be intentional. I'm just trying to make sure I'm answering the question right as far as what inflated is inferring.
The way I've studied it, okay, I looked it up last year. I believe it was like 27 players that averaged 20 points a game. When you go back to 1992, 93, it was the same thing. I have to check right now for this year. So scoring's up as a whole, right?
Yes.
And but it didn't go up amongst the high scores, right? So Kevin Durant was still around the same numbers. All the league leaders, they still around the same numbers. So it affected the bottom feeders, meaning the guys, the lower part of the game. And to me, it's just totally effort, So when I'm saying that the numbers are inflated, let me point this out. Rebounding numbers are still like, you don't see their numbers higher compared to then and that, but it's the scoring numbers you're seeing just these outrageous scoring games right now from role players. And these are the things that I'm seeing inflated. So when I'm seeing Luka get 20 rebounds right now, like in that individual performance today, I felt like that's an inflated number. Because when we went back and looked at the game film, it was no big men down there. You know what I'm saying? To be in his way, stopping him from doing that. It was no Patrick Ewings, was no David Robinsons. It wasn't any of those, just to keep this 6'6", 6'7" guy off the boards like that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It's like, okay, so because the game has changed and the game has shifted and the role of the big man, there's nobody there to stop him from getting 20 rebounds. If that's his intent, is that inflation purposeful? And if it is it for that reason?
Another thing,
because when you have Christian Wood at 7 feet, never playing in the paint, you never had that back in the day. So I'm asking you, is the reason they're not having someone like Christian Wood play in the post now because they want inflated numbers? Or is that just part of the game's evolution? I'm trying to get to what you want by inflated, because to me, especially in professional sports, inflated numbers is what baseball did in the juicing era with the ball and the body.
Okay,
that's
but when I went
back and numbers. So that's what I'm trying to get at. What do you mean by inflated?
When I went back and looked at the baseball,
and you're only talking about one particular part of the game, and that's the scoring part of the game, right?
Mm-hmm. Because
so when you say numbers inflated, you're not saying numbers across the board.
No, but not until this season. It didn't. The numbers didn't start just becoming these type of game performances. Didn't start to happen like that until this season, where you're seeing the role players or you're seeing night in and night out different. Okay. Like I haven't watched. Okay, but let's be fair. Okay, let's be fair. And let's break this down. I love this because this is what we do. When we break down and come to a conclusion on things. Let's be fair. Mm-hmm.
Did you look at how many times certain players, quote unquote star players, were not playing games? Because if you look at the numbers being inflated, role players' numbers are probably up because every other game, somebody who's supposed to be in the game is not playing. Dang. I'm sure if you look at the games being missed, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking, if you look at the game being missed, if we go to the Kawhis, the Paul Georges, the Anthony Davises, we go through the number of players just missing games due to injury or whatever. Somebody got to step up. So if we're saying that the numbers of role players are up, we have to consider the fact that the numbers of games being missed by star players has increased as well this season.
Yeah. So one thing,
and once again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Something's going to happen.
No, so one thing we can look at optically and seeing the game, the way people are playing defense is not the same. So I think that's one thing. We know you can't hand check. It's less physical defense. Basketball at the end of the day is a game of entertainment, more so ever than, more now than ever. I think the other thing you got to look at, what you also get in that scoop, it doesn't even necessarily take star players being out. Gordon, I don't know if we've ever gone back and looked at the age of how many years in the league these players, the average age is now. Because one thing it seems the league has done now, we've seen, is pushed out veterans. So I think institutional knowledge isn't being passed on. And I think a lot of times that's done for the purpose of salary. I don't have to put that vet minimum is what it is. If I go get a guy in that vet average 11 points and 3 rebounds, I could probably get a young guy that's been trying to make the league out the G League or some other place and bring him in and get that 11 and 3 out of him. But that institutional knowledge is lost. That's why everybody laughs about Udonis Haslem. Most of these teams don't have veterans. For me, it's no reason why little Isaiah Thomas shouldn't have a job with somebody, how these teams are.
He was on yesterday and he's still injured. He was
one thing. I think people like that. I think they pushing the veterans out though, because they not playing. The veterans don't play this style of basketball that's played today. So I can't, it's kind of like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I can't teach this old veteran how to play today's game. So I might as well just push him out and get one of these younger boys in here. And so you're looking at you mentioned.
I said the 3 examples are Isaiah Thomas, DeMarcus Cousins, and Carmelo Anthony.
And Jabari, and I'm looking at Jabari Parker, man. There's no reason Jabari shouldn't have a job someplace, man.
He don't play D.
Right.
None of these dudes do.
But boy, here's the difference in Jabari is that he hadn't established himself enough with the players we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Like DeMarcus proved that he was an all-star.
Yeah.
Carmelo proved he should be in the Hall of Fame. Isaiah Thomas proved he was an all-star. So they can say we're not going to play defense. Jabari never established himself to the point where he can make that demand. And he stayed in.
Without
And he
Isaiah
stayed
Thomas
in.
being elite, without Isaiah Thomas being elite scoring, he really don't help your ball club right now, though.
Right, but at least he
doesn't help
proved
him
he could
at
do
all.
that. At least he proved he could do that. Jabari never had a season where he never had an all-star season. I mean, Jabari started off behind the 8 ball with injuries back-to-back anyway. So my thing with him is that, yeah, he doesn't play defense, but he doesn't have the luxury of walking into this with this attitude as a veteran the way the other guys were talking about, because he hasn't established that type of foundation yet. He isn't offensively, he hasn't shown the offensive gifts or the offensive output that a DeMarcus Cousins showed that he could do when he was in his prime. Okay. Same thing. Like Jabari at max, like, all right, we may get 20 out of Jabari a season, maybe. With Isaiah Thomas, we know this fool may give us 27, 28, 29.
Okay.
He showed us that. So I think bringing Jabari into this conversation is a little bit different because his situation is different than the ones we're talking about.
I think you got to think about the health of all of them. But when I say Jabari, maybe not be on the high end of that, but Jabari has proved that he could score in this league, which, you got guys like what I look at is like Miami Heat, for example. What they've gotten smart about is I can go get Max Strus, I can get Martin, I can get these guys that can still average 14, 15 points a game, and I'm going to get the same productivity, and I don't have to pay them because they don't have a name and they never got that contract that a guy like Jabari got, is how I look at it. I don't think he has the same argument.
And Javi, guess what else you don't get?
Yeah.
You don't get pushback about, I'm not trying to do this way.
Oh, that's real.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You take those guys. Yeah, you take a Max Struder, Max, hey, whatever you want me to do, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because they're young, they ain't been through anything.
Yeah.
I'm going through that right now.
They haven't established themselves yet, so they're happy to do whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I hate to say this, Strauss is a great example. Let's see if he stays on the trajectory he's on right now. And I know shooters are always going to have a spot in the game. Let's see who's going to put up with Tyler Hero in 10 years.
Yeah.
He's going to be that player like, no, I ain't doing that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be like, okay, well, Tyler, you used to be an average 20 points a game. Now, you more of a role player. We're going to get you to do this, that, and the other. Maybe at max, you're going to be like Goran Dragic now. You're going to give us 12 or something like that. Now, Goran Dragic, he's like, whatever y'all need me to do, I'll do. Tyler Hero doesn't seem like he's gonna be that type of player. He's gonna be a diva. You ain't gonna be telling me.
They're gonna end up pushing him out the league then.
That's my point. He's gonna be just like Carmelo, be like, hey man, nice to have you, but let's go find us another Max Strauss.
Yeah.
Okay, well
at this point we don't need the headache. And we don't need infesting our locker room, making these young players come in there even thinking they can have this and bring this to the table.
Yeah.
Okay, we go here go another one. Okay, LeBron, he says, I want to win and give myself a chance to win and still compete for championships. Playing basketball at this level just to be playing basketball is not in my DNA anymore. Right now, LeBron is averaging, hold on, let me pull up his numbers. I believe it's like 28, 29, somewhere like that, 8 and 7. Hold on, let me just confirm. But I believe that's where he's at. I've never seen these type of numbers, right? And where these numbers don't matter and where your team is not winning. What are your thoughts on that?
On the numbers or what he said?
Both. Well, so let's start with what he said first.
I totally get it, and I think he's earned the right to say that. I think that's true. But the one thing that's interesting in what he said is, if you read it again, especially the top part,
28, 8 and 7.
No. He said I, right?
Right.
Basketball is a game where the outcome very rarely is in control of one individual, of that I. LeBron could do whatever he could do individually to put his team in a space to win championships. There's only so much he can do. So he's really asking and making a statement about what he wants that he has no control over. So take this back to last year. you look at his numbers at 28 points a game this year, which is amazing. But to me, last year was more impressive, where he won the scoring title. The only reason he won the scoring title because he sat out the last couple of games because he's like, I don't need another title, which I got a problem with anyway. But for that man to be 14, 15, however many years he is in the league, to lead the entire league in scoring last year, and then to come back and Anthony Davis is there half the time this year. They're still trying to new coach, new this, that, and the other. Once again, if I'm LeBron, I'm tired of the eyes. Yeah, I do want to win. And what else? I can't do anything else. So the only reason I'm playing right now is for I. And that's not satisfying for him. And if you look at LeBron's career, he's kind of always not been that I guy. And that's been my biggest problem with it. I wish he was an I guy.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to be an I guy. And this is a situation where you can't make him be somebody he's not. But if he was an I guy, he'd probably feel different.
Mm-hmm.
You said he has no control over the situation, but
I don't think
his critics will say you're the GM. You wanted AD.
What else do you want him individually to do though?
No.
On the basketball court, what else can he do individually?
I want him to retire.
I agree with that part. I agree. He's doing his part for sure. I agree with that.
Right. So I don't know what the critics are complaining about.
I don't think that the blame goes on him for what's going on right now and with the Lakers. To a certain extent, I did at some point of the season because it was like he just jacking shots trying to chase that record. Mm-hmm. But I think the reason that they were so bad last year as well as bad this year is Anthony Davis. I think his health has really hurt that team. I understand that the team is not really constructed the best, but think about it. They would not be in the position that they in right now if Anthony Davis was healthy. They would be at least, at this point, they would be at least 3 to 4 games better than they are. And I don't think we see LeBron crying and whining about this at that point if AD was healthy. And
hey, I'm gonna tell y'all, I disagree, man. Like this is on LeBron before before the season started. This is the team he wanted. LeBron has always gotten the teams he wanted. They wanted Buddy Hield. LeBron and Anthony Davis went and said they wanted Westbrook. They already had to trade in to get Buddy Hield. Rob Pelinka wanted Buddy Hield. That's who the front office wanted. They wanted Westbrook. This is what he wanted. He's a GM like Mike, the same way Mike has been. And then also LeBron's style of play over the last 3 or 4 seasons, I said it, needing the ball in his hand all the time, being ball dominant. There's never one of the real point guard next to him. In the last, I can't think of the last real point guard he had since Kyrie. And Kyrie was more of a scoring point guard than a facilitator kind of guy. So it's on him. And so what's happened is the league has changed over now. And Gordon, we done gone back and forth about it. It's parity. These young boys, like the boy from Indiana said, man, LeBron, you got to show me you the greatest. Right? And went out and beat LeBron.
They're not scared of him.
Process. They not scared of anybody anymore. So all that
buddy, the way that this season has gone for the Lakers the last 2 years, Buddy would not have been enough.
He would have.
What do you mean? But what happened? But see, that's
he wouldn't have been enough.
That's what's bad to me when you're saying a Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis.
No, Russell Westbrook wouldn't be. Russell Westbrook wouldn't be there.
Okay, but even if
Russell Westbrook
so even if AD and LeBron should be enough. It's no. So right now you're dealing with it. There's not no super teams. If you tell me that Memphis Grizzlies roster or the Pelicans roster is better than the Lakers roster, I'm gonna laugh.
No, I said with everything that transpired with AD's health and everything like that, replacing Russell Westbrook with Buddy Hield still wouldn't have been enough.
And why not?
To those circumstances.
Right. If Portland
can
win in this league, if Miami was in first place last year, bro, it's no reason in the world with that right there, dogs.
I clearly said Anthony Davis has been out the line.
Even with
that's
him
what
out.
I'm saying.
Go ahead. Let's scoop chime in.
I just got a question. Why are we sitting here talking about Anthony Davis, and why are we like? And I agree about what you said about him being a problem, but tell me what's different in Anthony Davis now as opposed to before he came to the Lakers.
He played 40 games.
He's never been healthy.
He's not there.
Right. No, what I'm saying is was he not doing this before he came to the Lakers?
Yeah, that's true too. We looked them numbers up too.
Now,
He's never played over 70 games.
I never was an AD fan.
Right, but so what I'm saying is that why are we sitting here? And I think you're right, but from a Lakers standpoint, from a LeBron standpoint, from a Genie Bus standpoint, from a Rob Pelinka standpoint, and I know they traded the farm to get him in there. Why now are we like, okay, that's a problem? The problem was there when you got him. It just didn't change.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
I agree.
Yeah, so I hate to say this. I agree with you. Yeah, Anthony Davis is probably the reason, but he's not the problem.
What do you think?
You knew what you were getting when you got him over there.
Yeah.
What do you knew what you were getting when you got him over there.
It's the same conversation. It's the same conversation.
You got some secret potion and some secret medical doctor that's gonna make this dude like not have the next 4 seasons like the first 7 seasons that he had.
What are your thoughts on the bubble champion? What are your thoughts on the bubble championship?
I mean, I thought it was what it was. I always believed that even during that, the team that was one of the healthiest, and I still believe that now, but the team that was the healthiest and had the best leadership was going to be the ones that pull out of there. And I think Jimmy Butler and LeBron James proved themselves in the bubble to be the leaders that were able to guide their team the best through the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Jimmy had everybody. That was his first year there. Jimmy had everybody in that Miami organization, especially the players, hanging on to every word he said as if he was like he was a god. Like he was somebody they were praying to. And they followed that dude's lead like he was Miles Davis blowing the trumpet. They just followed him. You know, and LeBron, being who LeBron was, and I think LeBron had a little extra help because they had incentive to win it for Kobe. And I think that played a large role in the Lakers getting together as an organization and having an incentive like, hey, we're going to do this for Kobe. We're going to do this for Kobe. And then being so like secluded all together, it gave them an extra sense of purpose that no other team in the bubble had. So I think
that bubble ring was worth it, right?
Well, I mean, you know what? That's not for me to say. I do think it depends on what your expectations are.
Now,
I think it was worth it.
Brian real big on that, on him saying it wasn't worth it tonight. He said he would have sacrificed everything.
What I said was this. Look at this. You take a Clippers team who's never won a championship, right? Mm-hmm. And they will die for that bubble ring. You take a Boston Celtics team that's up there with the Lakers with 17, 18 championship, but haven't won in 15 years. They've been contesting. They've been good. They've been borderline great. Even made it to the finals. You know what I'm saying? But in the last 15 years, they haven't won. I guarantee they'll take that bubble ring.
He said Charles Barkley would have killed for that bubble championship.
I don't get on Charles. I ain't say that.
I'm not mad.
Charles, my man. Charles, my man.
That's just the point that I'm trying to make. I apologize.
Yeah.
But Karl Malone, John Stockton, those type of players, they would have killed for the bubble ring. I apologize, Cuz.
Hey, I'll say this about the bubble, though. I'll say this about the bubble ring and the Lakers specifically. People dismiss that bubble ring because the Lakers weren't good the next year, but the Lakers lost their entire identity as soon as they won that bubble ring. Yeah. They got rid of Rondo. They got rid of all of them 6'10", 7-foot cats who came up and gave them paint protection and allowed them to own the paint.
JaVale McGee, all this, right.
So back to due diligence and back to the ownership in front office.
And can we have an honest, like real conversation?
Yes, sir.
Please.
Okay, let's be honest. Anthony Davis, outside of what he just showed us not too long ago, when he was healthy, he ain't been the same player after that championship either.
He has
that hunger, that desire, he ain't been the same dude.
No. No.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? He ain't been the same dude. So even though his health played a role, let's be honest. Whenever he has been on the court, with the exception of just recently, he ain't been the same. It's like he checked out. Like he got married, he got him a ring, he got him a contract. He was playing ball, if we're being honest, as if I'm good.
He got 4 months. That 4-month break time was big for him. And that's what I feel like the reason why they won is because he got they shut the season down in March and then started back up until July. Right. That was big on giving him that rest time so he could recover, give his body whatever time that he needed. You got a refreshed superstar, and that's he it's like a horse race.
And add that incentive to it too. Add that incentive that I'm telling you, that plan for Kobe shit was real.
Right.
Yeah.
So games he probably would have missed.
Everybody had the same 4 months.
But everybody wasn't playing for Kobe though. He right about that part.
No, I'm talking about everybody on the Lakers were playing. That was a whole mantra. But
right,
I'm saying
everybody.
Davis,
that year. Incentive. That's that year. What you saying is right, because you're saying everybody had the same rest. Everybody had all of that. Nobody had ever experienced COVID, and then Kobe just died, right? So that do get the Lakers an extra man because all of us was messed up behind.
I know, but all I'm saying is that Anthony Davis had an extra incentive.
Yeah.
As games he probably would have missed had he been injured.
Right.
He had that, I'm doing this for Cole. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this for Cole. We're doing this for Cole.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a personal thing. And I think once they got past him, that affected him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you hear about teams having championship hangovers. If we're having a real talk, I think Anthony Davis had a championship hangover. I think he did. Life was good. That's nothing against him. We all go through that as human beings. Some of us are able to fight through it better than others. But he's just like, hey, once again, I got my ring. I honored for my own way, and we honored Kobe's legacy by getting him a ring the year that he passed away. I got married and I got my contract. You know what I'm saying? It's like, once we get to certain stages in our professional careers, it's hard to maintain that level of hunger every time out. Our bodies sometimes just take a break, and I think his body took a break.
Some people become satisfied. You're absolutely right. Some people become satisfied.
And even though they don't know it, it shows out in what they do.
Exactly.
And the output that Anthony Davis, when he was healthy, putting out was not the same as before. That's just being honest. We know that.
That's right.
I got one more question, and then I'm gonna let the other guys put their topics up on the table, what they wanted to discuss. So a real big topic, and the algorithm has been throwing it on every day since I've been researching this stuff. I'm a real big Scottie Pippen fan, right? And so the importance, Scottie Pippen, I've heard him being called the most overrated, underrated player ever to play in the NBA, right? I'm 42 years old. So I'm old enough I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm old enough to remember, the games and that time period of how good Scottie Pippen was, right? So when I do my all-time list, everybody has them. Of course, my list is subjective. I got Scottie ranked in the top 15 all time. And I got him ranked top 15 all time based off of what I've heard the coaches say, the other players in the league say, and just, those things. Everything else, I throw out the window. You hear guys say things like Jordan made him tough. It's hard for me to believe that when you get a guy that comes from a family of 12 and he's one of the youngest, you know what I'm saying? So I look into all those other different things and all these other narratives that people say. How come they don't call Jerry Rice a sidekick? How come Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't a sidekick when he played with Magic and things like that? So Scottie Pippen is the only player that I've ever heard the label sidekick laid next to, and he got 6 championships, and it's like so disrespectful to me. So I wanted to know your thoughts on it because, it's become a really hot topic in our sports groups. We laugh about it. People get upset about it every day. So we would like to know your thoughts on it.
I'm with you. I mean, I'm a huge Scottie fan. He's in my top. I'm not ranking that, but he's top, at least top 20 in mine, probably top 15. To me, he's the second greatest defensive player that's ever played the game. But
I got him number one. Go ahead.
But Bill Russell. Because Bill was
tough.
Look, anytime you normalize Wilt Chamberlain, Scotty ain't had to normalize anybody like Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I'm saying? So, as great as Scotty was, and as much as Mike gave Scotty toughness, the handoff was he challenged Michael every day, even though they never played one-on-one. The battles they went through and pushing Mike to be the defensive player that Mike became. Being able to Scotty gave Mike the luxury to do things on defense that no other player was able to do. And Michael was able to freewheel on defense. Michael didn't have to really lock people down unless he had to. But Michael could freewheel, do whatever he did, because whatever mistake Michael made defensively, Scotty had his back on. And Michael be the first one to tell you that. So, but I do get the sidekick thing only because, especially with the people you mentioned, Michael's on a different stratosphere. So I don't give a fuck who you are. You're going to be a sidekick to Michael Jordan.
Right.
LeBron James would have been a sidekick to Michael Jordan the same way Kyrie Irving was a sidekick to LeBron James. Some players are just that big. If Patrick Ewing came here, if Charles Barkley came here, maybe Akeem maybe could have come here. Michael was a different stratosphere. He was the sun, and everybody else with planets revolving around him. So I think only because Scottie Pippen was playing with that guy that he became sidekick level. That's the only thing. I hear what you're saying, and I think
my reasoning also with it is this: all the other top duos, those guys are all ranked in the top 10. So Kobe and Shaq are top 10 guys. Kareem and Magic are top 10 guys. So it's no other quote unquote duo where you go and you be like, okay, yeah, Jordan number one, but this guy's all the way down to 30, 35, 40.
But once again,
top 50.
Yeah, but if you're looking at people from a social media or internet standpoint to validate that, then, you got to take that in consideration of who you're listening to. Because I'm pretty sure if you walked around and interviewed the 6,000 or whatever, 4,000 players that's ever played the game that are still alive today, their duos would consist. Michael and Scotty would never fall out of the top 3 because they don't look at Scotty the way the general public does. And let's go back to what we were saying earlier about the marketing, especially the marketing of America and the role that plays. Correct? Yeah. When you're in the Michael Jordan orbit, there is no other space. Michael sucks up all the energy in the room. You know what I'm saying? He sucks up all of the energy in the room. So anybody's going to be a sidekick, and nobody's going to get marketed the same way when you're in that space. Yeah. Now, to me, it takes a hell of a dude to exist in that space and really not complain about it and live with it, even though Scotty's complaining now. But at the time, hey, and Scotty, and you know what? Back in the day, I've talked to him back in the day. He felt the same way about Michael that everybody else did because he got to see that shit every day. Yep. He got to see it every day. Every day. So he's in awe of Michael just the same way we are.
Yeah.
So when you're with that, you know how unique it is to have that, especially when you become successful. And you ain't man, I'll be a sidekick. I'll be a sidekick.
Right.
And if we really want to take it to another analogy, you say you're 42, so you're old enough to understand this. I think the greatest sidekick of all time in the history of duos is still, at the end of the day, the baddest motherfucker that ever lived. And that's Bruce Lee as Kato. That's it. Ain't no superhero, anybody you can bring up to the table. There's no other superhero action person ever that's better than Bruce Lee. We know that, right?
Yeah.
But Bruce Lee was the sidekick.
Yeah.
So
okay, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?